This is my version of Peter and the Wolf. I found this storybook, which is not my version at all, when I was very small in our house, and I was both fascinated and terrified by the depictions of the wolf in the story. And because I was so terrified, I read this book over and over and over again. When I was looking for a story to tell for this class to make a theater book from, I thought back to the story of Peter and the Wolf. And I thought I wanted to tell it from a different perspective, because Peter and the Wolf is told from the perspective of Peter, who's a young boy who wants to catch a wolf because he thinks it's a brave and strong and exciting thing to do. And as is said in the book, boys like Peter are not afraid of wolves. But what about the wolf? So here's my story, Peter and the Wolf. The story takes place in Russia in the winter, in a birch forest. Here's the wolf, sleeping peacefully. It's wintertime, so he's conserving his energy. But he does need to eat, so he wakes up and gives a big yawn. He goes hunting and finds a snowshoe hare. And so he tries to catch it, but he's too slow, and the rabbit gets away. In the distance, though, we can see the cottage of Peter and his grandfather, with the wood piled up on the side for burning in the fire to keep the house warm, and the flock of ducks. Also, we can see Peter's grandfather's footprints and the smaller footprints of the young boy Peter, who stops to make a snow angel on his way home. The wolf sees the ducks as well, and he catches one of them and eats it because he's hungry. Grandfather comes out and shoots at the wolf, trying to both chase it away or to kill it so he can make new fur for his hat and his jacket. The wolf runs away with duck feathers falling out of his mouth as he runs. And here he is asleep in another part of the forest. And if you look, you can see Peter coming with his rope. Peter wants to catch the wolf because boys like Peter aren't afraid of wolves, and he thinks it's a grand adventure to catch this apex predator in the forest. The bird just watches. The bird lands on the sleeping wolf, and the wolf starts to wake up and sees the bird. While the wolf's distracted, Peter quietly creeps behind the tree, up the tree, and lowers his rope with a nice lasso knot tied onto it. The wolf leaps up and tries to catch the bird, but the bird's too fast and he flies away. What the wolf doesn't see, though, is that his tail has been caught in the rope. Peter pulls on the rope and lifts the wolf's tail up. The wolf looks behind him and sees that his tail has been caught. The bird watches for a little while, but then loses interest and flies away. The wolf's tail is being pulled painfully up the tree by Peter, who's jumped down and is pulling and pulling, making sure that the wolf can't get at him, but he can't get away. Meanwhile, Peter's grandfather is looking for him because he hasn't told his grandfather where he's going. He goes through the forest shouting his name, Peter, Peter, but he doesn't see him. I'm here, cries Peter, and he waves at his grandfather, and his grandfather sees him and waves in relief, and he sees the wolf that Peter is caught by the tail, writhing in agony. And this is the last scene of the book, where we learn that in an encounter between wildlife and humans, the wildlife, despite being true to their nature, doesn't come out well. And you can see the footprints of grandfather and Peter leaving, and the wolf, now dead, still in the tree. And that's the end.